Okay, so today we are going to start one of the important topic. That name is default routing, static default routing. In our last video, we have discussed about static routing with the next hop IP address. And also we have done with static routing with exit interface. Like in both the practicals, we have done pinging with our 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 networks. Okay. So today it is the another part of static routing, which name is a default routing. So default routing we have to do with both like next hop as well as exit interface. Okay. But first of all, I want to let you know that default routing is the process which is implemented only on edge routers. Default routing is implemented on edge routers. Now, the question is, what are edge routers? So, edge routers are those routers which have only one next hop or one exit interface to reach all the destinations. Like in our network, if we feel like any network in which we have only one next hop or one exit interface to reach all the destination. Like for example, I have like design like 1 router, 2 router, 3 router, 4 router, 5 router. Okay. And these all routers are like connected with another switches, and switches are another connected with PCs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and these are connected like this. Like all connected. Now, if we think about our last topic, static routing. So in static routing, what we have seen, like this is 10, like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Now in static routing, what we are watching, like what are the direct and what are the indirect network. Like this is 10, this is 60. So this is your direct network and rest other are indirect network. Okay. And now check the router number 1, if router number 1 wants to send route to this 20, 30, 40, 50, then router 1 has only one hop, only one next hop like this to reach all the destination. So R1 will be considered as edge router. But if we think about R2, now for R2, this network next hop is different. For these hop next hop is different. So I have two hops. So I'm not able to use default routing here. I have to use here static routing only. On second, on third, and on fourth, we are not able to implement default routing because we have two hops to reach destination. But at last router, we can implement default routing because it has only one next hop to reach the destination. So like these type of router, we can use default routing. Otherwise, we always use in small networks static routing. So if we are making this design, then on this design, first and last router should configure with default routing, but another router will configure with static routing. Understand the concept? Now this routing can be implemented same as static routing with two concepts. Like it can be implemented with exit interface and next hop also. So we have two practicals, but we will cover that both practicals in one videos only. Okay. So after this topic, you have to design this network and you have to configure this. Now, what about the syntax? The syntax of default routing. Like in static routing, if we remember static routing, Static routing, we have used IP, route, destination network or indirect network ID, subnet mask. It was static routing. Either we have used next hop IP address or exit interface. So this was the syntax in static routing. Okay. Now the syntax of default routing is we have to use IP route. Okay. But instead of indirect network ID, we are using 0.0.0.0 space. On the place of subnet mask, I'm also using 0000, but next hop IP address remains same. And same as if you want to use same IP route for exit interface, then instead of next hop, you can use exit interface. Like in default routing, we don't have to watch any indirect network because we have to work on exit interface and next hop. So if you are using 0000 instead of indirect network and subnet mask, it means you are working on default routing. Understand? Okay. So we will make design on Cisco packet tracer. You can check this and I will let you know. So I'm going to share Cisco packet tracer window here. Okay. So I'm going to configure with 2-3 routers, like 3 routers we can use because in last video you have used 3 routers only, and I'm using 3 switches which are 2960, 2960, 2960, and I'm using 2 PCs or laptops. So when we have to connect different devices with each other, we are using straight cable. Okay. Yes, that is automatic cable I have used, but you have to use straight cable first. Okay. Because for example, if you are using automatic cable and you have not used here HWIC2T port, so automatically it will choose cross cable. Okay, automatically it will choose this. This is called automatic cable. Okay. So if you have used, like if you want to use serial interface, click on HWIC2T, add. Third router, port. So port, you should have to add the port. After that, you can click on serial or automatic. It's up to you because port is added. So this is your design. Okay. So the same design we have made in static routing video. So it is very easy. Okay. So I'm using. Okay. So in last video we have used A class. So now I'm going to use C class 192.168.1.0/29. Okay. I can use a like 200.0.0.0/29. I have written 29. So here I'm going to use like 210.0.0.0/29. Okay, so in my LAN, I have chosen 3 C class IP address. Okay. And on WAN links, I'm going to use B class 150.0.0.0/30. Like you can choose any. I'm just checking. I'm just doing it for fun. And V class. But main thing, you have to see the subnet mask. Subnet mask is used. Like if you are using subnetting, then it will help you to save the IP address. That is used to avoid the wastage of IP address. So now you are free to use A class, B class, C class. Which class you like the most, you can use that class. If you want to do like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, that is easy for you, then you can use this. But only you have to check like slash value, /29, like if you want to save the IP address. So I'm going to start 192.168.1.1, 5.255.255.248, 192.168.1.3. I have chosen 3 gateway. 192.168.1.2, 192.168.1.3. So I have copied the subnet mask for another network also. 192.168.1.3. So I have to choose 250, 248 there. Here I'm going to use 200.003. Here I'm going to choose 210.003. This subnet mask. So I'm writing on sticky notes also. Okay. So click on this. 200.001. 200.003 is my gateway, and I'm using /29. 200.002, 200.003. That is gateway, default gateway. 210.001, 210.003. 210.002 and 210.003 because that is the gateway. So here I'm going to use 150.001 with 252 because you have chosen /30. Here you have to choose 150.002. Here you have to use 160.001. And here I'm going to use 160.002. Okay, so it is very easy for you. Now I'm going to start IP addressing. In your last video, you have done IP addressing so many times. So I think it is a easy thing for you now. You can choose the router's host name also, like if you want to choose. For example, host name, Dario. This is Dario's router. Okay. Like second name, like second here, you want to choose the name, enable, config, host name, Gagan, anything you want to use. On third router, enable, config, host name, Arsh. You want to change another name, Arshalok. It's up to you only. Like you can change host name. Like I'm going to change the host name like router 1, router 2, router 3. Because when we have to work on these devices, then we have to check this. Just I'm going to start configuration of IP address, interface FA 0/0, IP address 192.168.1.3, 48, and no shutdown, exit. Interface serial 0/0, IP address 150.001, 52, and no shutdown. So if you want to save this, do right. If you are using command this, then you can simply use write also. It's up to you. Okay, now move on to next router. FA 0/0, 200.003, 248, and interface serial 000, 150.002. And interface serial 001, sorry, INT. That was written mistakenly. and IP address is 160.0.0.1. At last router, interface F is 0/0, 210.0.0.3. Yeah. Okay. And serial IP address 160.0.0.2, 252. It's your IP addressing done. Now your main task is you have to ping 192 network with 200 as well as 200 network with 210. Okay. So as we have discussed that we are using default routing here. So first of all, we have to check where are my edge router. Where are my edge router? We can use IP route 000. If you are feeling that you don't have edge router, you can use static routing instead of default routing. Okay. So my first router and my last router both have one hope to reach destination. For example, R1 wants to go to 200, 210 or 160. So the next hope is always 150.0.0.2. And for R3, always the next hope is 160.0.0.1. So these two are last and first are edge router. But the middle router is when it send a packet to 192.168, its next hop is 150.0.0.1. And when it sends next hop, exit interface. Okay, exit interface, then for first router, the exit interface is serial 000. And for the last exit interface is serial 000. And the middle of router is exit interface serial 000 and 001. So I'm going to use default routing. So I'm going to use a notepad. Router number 1 and router number 3, both are my edge router. So at router number 1, what I have to use? Config IP route. The command is 0.0.0.0 space 0.0.0.0 space. What is my next hop? 150.0.0.2. 150.0.0.2. This is your default routing next hop process. You don't have to use any other command. You have to use only single command. But on R2 router, you are not able to use edge router command because it is a middle router. So here you have to use static routing 192.168.1.0. 255, 255, 255, 248. And the next hop is 150.0.0.1. This is the last topic. If you want to go to this, your next hop is this. Okay. And similarly, if you want to go to 210, okay, your route is IP route 210.0.0.0. Then your next hop is 160.0.0.2. So on the middle router, we have used static routing, but on the last router, it is an edge router. So IP route is 0.0.0.0.0.160.0.0.1. Now you have configured default routing and static routing with next hop. And when you check do show IP route, then you can check S is configured with star. So static routing is configured with star. So star recommends your candidate default. So it is called default routing. Now check the pinging. So my first packet will fail. You can check here. But it is successful because already we have started ping at very first time. ARP entry is done. Maybe the next, yes, it is also pinging. Yes, it is failed because It is first time pinging laptop 4 pinging with laptop 3, very first time. So first packet is failed, but my next packet always successful. First packet is failed due to our ARP protocol. Yes, it was the static default routing like R1, R2, R3. Now, for example, you want to remove the routing. Many student ask, sir, how to remove the routing? So routing removal process is very simple. Just go back to the command and put no before the command. No IP root 00. Okay, on this. No IP root 210, no IP root 192. Okay. And on the last router, no IP root this. When you remove the command of routing, you are not able to ping with each other. Okay. So we have done with default routing with NextHop. Now, if you want to use exit interface on router number 1, the command should be same IP root, but instead of 150.0.0.2, what you can use? Serial 000. Understand? And on the middle router, one root is for 192. With 192, you can use serial 0/0/0. But with 210, you can use serial 001. That we have already discussed in static routing in our last video. So if you have not watched that video, please watch previous video. It is serial 000. Now you are going to ping, you want to ping, your packet is successful. So this is your default routing configuration. And now your static routing and default routing is done. In our next video, we will discuss about dynamic routing. And in dynamic routing, path determination is automatically. We will learn so many routing protocol in our next video. So until then, thank you so much.